Jakarta, the city that never sleeps. With its bustling streets, glowing skyscrapers and ceaseless chatter, it is alive with activity day and night. Beneath its frenetic energy, however, the city has its secrets, and those who probe too deeply often regret it. I didn't believe in urban legends. Jakarta's so-called haunted landmarks and cursed tales always seemed like fodder for bored minds. Until I started my new job in a crumbling high-rise on the outskirts of the old city. The building was officially called Menara Mandala, but locals whispered a different name, Gedung Bayangan, or the Shadow Tower. Despite its modern construction, the tower had an ominous reputation. They said strange things happened there. Figures glimpsed through darkened windows, voices whispering in hallways where no one should be. I shrugged it off as superstition. People in every city loved their ghost stories. When I landed the job as a graphic designer for a small startup, I thought of it as just another office in the sprawling megacity. But Gedung Bayangan wasn't just another office. It started small, things I could ignore. The first night I worked late, I heard footsteps in the empty corridor. I checked. No one was there. Cleaning staff, I told myself, though I couldn't shake the unease crawling up my spine. Then came the missing items. My pens disappeared, only to reappear neatly arranged in my drawer. A mug I left on my desk moved across the room overnight. Colleagues joked about the Penunggu, the supernatural spirits believed to haunt old buildings. But Menara Mandala wasn't old. It was supposed to be new, cutting-edge even. The stark contrast between its sleek glass facade and the oppressive dread inside was hard to explain. One evening I was working late again, against my better judgment. Deadlines loomed, and I had no choice but to stay past 10 p.m. Most of the building had emptied out hours before, leaving only a skeletal cleaning crew and a few other unfortunate souls like me. The air conditioning had that faint hum only noticeable in an otherwise silent space. I typed furiously, my back aching and my mind hazy. Then, just at the edge of my vision, something moved. I turned quickly. Nothing. Just my reflection in the glass, distorted by the faint glow of the city. I sighed and rubbed my temples. Get a grip, I muttered. But as I turned back to my work, the reflection didn't. For a moment I froze. My hands clenched, cold sweat pricking my forehead. Slowly I turned my head back to the glass. My reflection was staring at me, its head tilted, lips curling into a smile I hadn't made. The office behind it seemed darker, the furniture twisting into unfamiliar shapes. I blinked and it was gone, just my normal reflection staring back, wide-eyed and pale. I packed up immediately and left. Over the next week things escalated. My colleagues began complaining too. Someone saw papers fluttering in an office no one had been in all day. Another swore they heard crying in the stairwell late one night. But no one wanted to admit it outright. Something was wrong with Gedung Bayangan. It was Waira, a quiet programmer, who finally broke the silence. I looked it up, he said during lunch one day. This building, they built it on the ruins of a kampung, an old settlement. A fire wiped it out decades ago. Dozens died. Come on, Waira, snapped Ronnie, the HR rep. Every building in Jakarta has some story. Let's not start spreading nonsense. But Waira's words stuck with me. I stayed late again that Friday. A storm rolled in, the city bathed in flashing light and booming thunder. I tried to focus on my work, but every shadow felt like it was alive, every gust of wind like a whisper in my ear. Around midnight the lights flickered and went out. The office was plunged into pitch-black darkness, broken only by the occasional lightning flash. Great, I muttered, fumbling for my phone. As I turned on the flashlight, the beam illuminated my desk, then the hallway beyond it. That's when I saw her. A woman, soaked as if from the rain, her long hair hanging in wet clumps over her face. She stood at the end of the corridor, unmoving. Hello? My voice was shaky. She didn't respond. I took a step closer, my flashlight trembling in my hand. That's when she began to walk, slow, deliberate steps, her bare feet leaving wet footprints on the carpet. I stumbled backward, dropping my phone. The light spun, casting wild shadows on the walls. By the time I picked it up, she was gone. But the footprints remained, leading down the corridor to the stairwell. I should have run. I should have left the building without looking back. But something pulled me forward, a morbid curiosity I couldn't explain. The stairwell was freezing, the air thick and damp. As I descended, I heard it, faint whispers, too garbled to understand but unmistakably there. The whispers grew louder with every step until I reached the basement. The basement shouldn't have been there. Menara Mandala didn't have an underground level, or so I'd been told. But here it was, a dark, cavernous space filled with old wooden furniture, moldy books, and a faint, sickly green light emanating from the walls. In the center was a large mirror, cracked and ancient. The whispers came from there. As I approached, the reflection flickered, not showing my face but a swirling darkness. Faces emerged, screaming soundlessly, their hands pressed against the glass. And then I saw her again, the woman. This time she was inside the mirror, her face now fully visible. Her eyes were empty sockets, her mouth twisted into a grin that seemed to stretch too wide for her face. Her voice broke through the whispers. "Leave this place," she hissed. The mirror began to crack. I ran. The stairwell twisted and warped, the walls seeming to close in around me. When I burst into the lobby, the lights had returned, the storm still raging outside. I didn't wait to explain myself. I left the building and didn't return. The next day, the company announced its relocation. Structural concerns, they claimed, though no one believed it. Weeks later, I read about Gedung Bayangan again. It was being demolished to make way for a new shopping mall. But as the demolition crews worked, they discovered something chilling beneath the foundation. A charred wooden frame, remnants of what appeared to be an old home. Inside they found dozens of skeletons, their bones twisted and broken. The news never made the headlines, but whispers spread across Jakarta. Gedung Bayangan's secrets weren't buried deep enough. And even now, when storms roll in and the city goes quiet, some say you can hear her, the woman from the mirror, whispering warnings to those who dare to disturb her rest.